Welcome to the Sa'ad Guled Show, your front row seat to the journeys of leaders, innovators, and change makers redefining what's possible. I'm your host, Sa'ad Guled. And today, my honorable guest is a Minnesota basketball legend and a community leader. He's spent over a decade in the nonprofit world, serving organizations like Hospitality House, House of Youth, Directions, and Pillsbury United Communities, and co founded the Above the Ream Youth Sports Foundation with his wife Pamela. He's a Bush Fellow, NCAA Living Legend, and the first African American coach in the Minnesota Basketball Hall of Fame, a true mentor on and off the court, a great friend, and a great brother, Larry McKenzie. Welcome to my show. How are you today?
I'm doing well, and thank you. Just honored to be here. So thank you for the invite and the opportunity to come and share with your audience.
No, I'm honored. I'm honored for you to be here, man.
So
The greatest basketball coach in Minnesota and a great leader, like I said. Coach, even though that introduction was never enough, do you want to tell my audience who Larry McKenzie is and what do you do?
I mean, in terms of who I am, I mean, first and foremost, I'll say that I'm a man of God. That's something that I don't shy away from. I'm a believer. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a grandfather. And I'm somebody who honestly have dedicated his life to what I would like to say inspiring champions, young people. You know what I'm saying? Just somebody that ultimately believe that if and I always use this thing like if you create systems uh, and the right kind of pressures that you can turn uh, coal into diamonds, and so that's who I am.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, here the man. And I really agree that with him. He's been really helpful to so many young men, including myself. I've known Coach Larry for quite some time. Coach, what gets you into mentoring and coaching? How did you get
You
into
know
that?
what? I mean, I'm gonna tell you. I mean, so it's a crazy kind of story to be honest with you, and it's really the beginning of my basketball career. So when I got out of college, I had a good friend and somebody that I considered as well a mentor, a guy by the name of Clyde Turner. Some people out there might recognize that name. Played for the University of Minnesota. Participated in a legendary game that people still talk about to this day, the big fight with Ohio State and all of that kind of stuff. But Clyde was a program manager for Big Brothers. And so, Clyde got to know me, and I always say he was my big brother. And so, Clyde asked me to consider, and I imagine like I'm just new out of school. So I'm 20, 21 years old, consider becoming a big brother. And so I actually, at that time, I'm like, man, first of all, I grew up in a household where both of my parents were teachers.
Okay.
And it's gonna be hard to believe, but if anybody would have ever told me that I would be working with kids, we probably would have had a fight. So I coming coming out of college, the last thing that I wanted to do was work with kids. But I always say Clyde Turner was 6'8" and he was my big brother. So he convinced me to become a big brother. And my little brother was a kid uh, from an immigrant family who had just moved here from Liberia by the name of Jules. And so I always say, as Jules and I began spending time together, the one thing that we realized that we had in common was a love for the game of basketball. So one day, Jewel was walking through, coincidentally, he was in middle school at Ascension. And most people know that's a school that just had the big national news shooting. But Jules, that's where he went to middle school. And Jules volunteered me to be their middle school coach. And I always say that was a moment of change in my life. But also to coincide with that, when you talk about mentoring, I was and most people wouldn't believe it. Uh, in college and coming out of high school, I was a very angry young man for a number of reasons, and I had some anger issues. And I met a guy by the name of John K. Cameron, and John K. Cameron took me under his wings. And John K. Cameron would never allow me to buy him dinner, wouldn't let me pay for lunch. He wouldn't let me do anything. Never took a Christmas gift, anything. I mean, he literally picked me up, drove me to every single job interview I had coming out of college. I mean, amazing mentor, right? And what he would say to me is, Mac, the only thing that I want from you is when the time come, I want you to allow other people to stand on your shoulders the way that you've stood on mine. And every time I tried to give him something, he would, nope, Mac, all I want from you is when the time come, I want you to allow other people to stand on your shoulders the way you stood on mine. And I always tell people, man, a lot of my mission have been, Sakad, I can never repay that man for what he did in my life. So he paid it forward. And a lot of my work, whether it's been coaching or anything else, have been an attempt to try to repay John K. Cameron for the investment that he made in my life.
Man, that's amazing. It's amazing and very inspiring. And thank you so much for sharing that with me because I can co-sign that because mentorship changed my life for the better. Your great friend Faisal, who has been really a great mentor to me, somebody like you,
Yeah.
always like I call if I need anything. So mentorship, yes, it does change your life for the better. And shout out to that man who really took a chance on you and helped you out to be the man that you are today because that's a lot. We
Eh,
don't.
Yeah, and you're a businessman, and you know this, man. And I always tell people to this day, unfortunately, I lost John K. Cameron a few years back. But I think everybody, I always say this, we talk about mentor, but I'll say mentor slash coach. But I believe everybody needs a coach. You know
100%,
what I'm saying?
100%,
Slash mentor in their
100%,
life.
100%.
You need that person. And when you say mentor, and I'll say this for people listening, a good mentor is not going to tell you everything that you want to hear. A good mentor is going to tell you the truth, right? And that's how you grow. And so you need that in your life. And I don't care how old you are. And the reason I'm saying that because I have a mentor.
100%.
Everybody needs that person in their life.
Absolutely. And it's also like when you have a great friend who really cares about you, they are going to tell you what you want to
One,
hear. They're not going to babysit you and lie to your face and say, "Oh, this is good." But if you have a great friend who makes you feel uncomfortable, that's the type of mentorship that you need. So you really knock that on the head.
so let me finish that too, because I want to say this because I think somebody's out there listening that might need this.
100%.
I always say, I used to tell my kids all the time when they was growing up that people that want to be your friend will tell you the things that they think that you want to hear. Your real friends will tell you the truth, and the truth hurts sometimes.
Wow, that's very powerful. It's very powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that with the youth. A lot of young men who really watch me can really benefit that from because it's something that I really get excited about, mentoring the next generation. I know you coach a lot of youth, a lot of kids, especially from Africa, Somalis. What have your experience been? Working with those young men.
Well, I mean, I regardless of where kids are from, one of the things is, man, I just think, the beautiful thing about this country is as crazy it is right now. I mean, you can be whatever you want to be, right?
Absolutely.
And so I always, my experience is, I tell young people, my grandmother told me this as a youngster, right? No matter what your situation is in life, you're not the first
You
and
won't.
you won't be the last.
100%.
And so let's sit down, let's stop feeling sorry for yourself, right? And come up with a plan that we're gonna help you change your life. And I always tell kids, my every time I walk into a room, my saying to young people is this: if I could change your mind, I could change your life. And I say that to say this: the maker of this computer is a perfectionist, right? So we know that there's nothing wrong with the hardware, right? It's bad data going into this computer. So we have to work on curing the computer virus. And that's my approach to mentoring, regardless of where a kid is from, what side of town they live on, or zip code. Because I work, I coached 6 years at Academy of Holy Angels, which
Oh,
is a private school.
yes.
And a lot of times people assume, well, them kids don't have no issues. But I'm here to tell anybody, there's issues everywhere. They might look different, and they may be different, but young people have challenges, and we've all been we've been there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
And so sometimes I always say this, man. I think sometimes when you get over 25, is like Star Trek. Somebody do something to your head and you forget all the dumb stuff that you did. And I think one of the things that have helped me be a good mentor is I literally still remember all the dumb stuff I did when I was 14, 15, 16 years old. So I know it's going to happen. And you deal with it, you forgive them, make adjustments, and keep it moving.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, because we all been there, right? And that's what shaped us today. What are some challenges that you really experience when mentoring a kid?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest challenge that people have, and I use this analogy all the time, Sakai, is mentoring is about relationships, right? And trust. And so the biggest challenges is getting kids, young men to let their windows down. Now, what does that mean, coach? So if you ever been around, you driving, you get around, man.
Yeah, yeah,
So
for sure.
you're in the neighborhood, right?
Mhm.
And so and you think, man, this is pretty, man, this neighborhood a little shady, you know what I'm saying? If you pull up, you only gonna let that window down this far, right? Because you don't know, and you're gonna be very, very careful about how far you let the window down, asking, "How do I get to so and so?" Right? But now you go across town and you see somebody you know. Hey, coach, you're gonna let that window all the way down,
Of course.
right? And so to me, it's developing that trust. That's the biggest challenge, man. And the crazy thing is, man, sometimes you notice when you're mentoring kids and young people, because oftentimes they don't have somebody in their life that care about them. They want to know why you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Why are you the one? Why do you care about me? And so you got to get through all of that. And I always tell people, so the one thing I learned from being a big brother in that big brother program is it takes time. And a good mentor have to be willing to, you got to have some patience, right? It took me 18 months to get Jewel to let his window all the way down.
Wow.
We'd have events set up, and because he had been disappointed so many times, he would call and say, "Mac, you're not coming, right?" He was always setting up, setting things up for disappointment, and so that meant I had to be consistent and do all the right things. And again, I always say this, man, when we talking about, one of my things is kids don't need role models. Kids need real models.
Absolutely.
And so, as a mentor, you gotta be what you want that kid. That kid gotta see it, not hear it. And so, I think the biggest challenge, man, is being patient enough, not giving up on the kid, because it takes time for them to let that window down.
Wow.
That's a long answer to your
No,
question.
no, it's beautiful and it's very beneficial. And what you just said right now, it's something that probably will stick with me for the rest of my life because in order for your kids or anybody in the youth, if they want to be great, you have to lead by example. So they have to see it. Because, for example, I have a 6-year-old daughter. She doesn't understand much, but when she sees the good things that I do, what is she gonna do? She's gonna follow.
Correct.
So that is such a beautiful way that you laid it out.
And
That
I use this thing, Scott, that you can't be what you don't see, right?
Mhm.
And so I think it's important as a father, as an entrepreneur, as somebody in the community, man, that you're modeling that behavior, right? And we're living in a time where, because of social media and all that other kind of thing, kids don't care about what you're talking about.
100%.
They want to see, you
What
know
you're
what I'm
doing.
saying? So yeah, you got to model the behavior.
That's amazing, Coach. I know mentorship and coaching go hand in hand. When you're coaching, first of all, I know you've won a lot of titles in this state. Congratulations and thanks for being such a great winning coach. When you're coaching those young men, what is the hardest thing that a basketball coach can face with the squad that he's leading?
I mean, you can answer that question so many ways. I mean, one for me, to be honest with you, trying to run a high standard, high quality program in an environment that wasn't necessarily conducive to that, not having a lot of, for me, to be honest with you, everywhere I went, with the exception of Academy of Holy Angels, it was having the resources.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because I coached most of my career uh, in an urban environment, two North Side schools, and so therefore, my kids didn't. And again, thank thankfully, I had people like you that I could call on when I needed, had challenges around transportation or some other things in terms of feeding them. So I think it depends on the challenge depends on the environment that you're in, right? The X's and O's and all of that kind of stuff come easy. But I think this, and I'll say this when you ask me in terms of challenges, mostly I'll say 85 to 90% of the young men that I coach didn't have a father in the house. So the challenge for me is I had to be more than a coach. You know what I'm saying? So I had to wear a lot of hats. And just as much as I was teaching X's and O's and how to run plays, I had to going back to what we just talked about, I had to be conscious of modeling the behavior of what a respectable man was in the community, right? And I goes back. So I always say kids didn't care what I said. They was always watching how I treated my wife, how I responded to my kids, all of those kind of things. And so you have to wear a lot of hats. I mean,
Yeah.
and to be honest with you, so when you talk about challenges, you got young men that you have to become a surrogate father to, and they come with a lot of issues, man. I mean, I had homeless kids, all kind of situations, and I'm a basketball coach and somebody who's been worked in the nonprofit and corporate America, but I haven't been trained to be a psychologist. I had to raise money. I had to be a cook. I had everything.
Oh, you
So
wore a lot
so
of hats.
those are the challenges is being able to wear those hats. And then here's the biggest thing: not being able to you carrying all of that, and then when you get home, not taking that home, man, and dumping that on your wife and your family and all of those kind of things. So it's a lot more than people
Think.
think about.
No, it's true. Because the last I know, basketball coaches don't call transportation companies.
Right.
Basketball coaches don't really raise money for these kids. So you've been more than a basketball coach, because I can really understand that. And thank you so much for really giving back to all of your efforts and your knowledge to these men.
Yeah,
'Cause,
but again, so I mean, and again, I'm thankful to have people like you in my life because I could sit here and I mean, I had a few times, you know what I'm saying, and I called you and your staff and I say, I need to get my kids from here, and maybe 24 hours before, and you'd have me talk to your staff and you say, Coach, how much you got? You know what I'm saying, and you just took what I had and bus be on time, pick those kids up, drop them off. And so, when you talk about being a great coach, man, and all of that kind of stuff, a coach is a puzzle. I mean, I'm a human puzzle
yes.
where a lot of people have pieces because of people like you have allowed me to be the coach and the mentor and the man I am, because you can't do that if you don't have the resources and the people that you can call on and count on.
100%. And coach, because you taught us, in order for you to leave a legacy, it's not about how much money you give or
Correct,
how much.
100%.
Yeah, it's about how many lives you can impact.
100.
Right.
So again, I'm a quote man, so you get a lot of quote.
Yeah.
So let me get the pastor's name right. It'll come back to me right now. But the quote is that a coach would touch more lives in a year than most people would touch in a lifetime.
Oh,
So that's, yeah, I mean, you're right. That's what you do.
yeah, yeah. And
And the pastor's Billy Graham. Billy Graham made that statement about coaches. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
because the reason why I touch on that is when you call for a bus to pick up those young men, um, I always remember what you when you tell me, it's not about how much you give, it's about how many people you can impact. So for me, that's part of me giving it back
Yes, yes, sir.
to
Yes.
the communities that raised me, the neighborhoods that really made me, right? And I consider myself a Minneapolis kid. I've been here all of my life. So
And
uh,
it goes back to when I told you about John K. Cameron, right? In terms of like, and again, I talk about John K. Cameron, but I always tell people the funny thing for me is if you go to Miami and you drive through my neighborhood, you'll see a sign that says Lawrence Pop McKenzie, right?
Mhm.
I am who my dad was in Miami.
Okay, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, but it is, man. I just feel like all of us have a responsibility to leave this world much better than we found it, right? And so, like you say, part of that legacy, man, is making a difference. And I believe everybody can make a difference.
100%. 100%. Um, I define champion somebody like you who really helps the next generation and those young men. In your world, how do you define champion beyond the scoreboard?
Oh, well, I mean, so I think one of the first things, man, and if anybody, youth coaches, or you listening to this too, is I think the one thing that you have to do, you have to redefine what the word means, right? Because if being a champion is only based on how many championships and stuff you have, then there's a lot of coaches that would be failures, right?
Yes.
So I define a champion as somebody who uh, inspires, somebody who uplifts, somebody who help people realize that you can go from uh, what seems to be impossible to possible. Those kind of things, and there's more ways of winning. You know what? You know my greatest win, and I've done a lot of things, and I always talk about, you know, uh, more than the six state titles. Um, is the fact that when I went to Patrick Henry, I went to a school that had a 24% 28% graduation rate, right, for African American boys. And I always say my players had a greater chance of going to prison than going to college. Seeing those kids graduate on time, beating those odds, right, of supposedly not graduating, making AB honor roll, doing all of those kind of things, then going to college, getting college degrees, and coming back and impacting the community, I'm winning, man.
Yeah, of course.
That's winning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's winning. And so again, I think you have to redefine, you know what I'm saying? Like to me, and too many coaches get caught up into how many games they win and all of that kind of stuff. That was never my intent. I didn't worry about winning games. And I always tell, I went into coaching as for ministry. And so for me, it was about preparing young men for life after basketball.
Wow. No, that's it's a great way to explain what champion is and the fact that, you know, it's really so inspiring to hear that, young African Americans who a lot of people don't give chance
Correct.
to succeed, right? They always got those odds. They always got those barriers, and you being the main reason why they, overcome those odds. It's just such an inspiring, man, because 99% out of the time when an African American kid goes to school,
Well,
so
and I want to say this. I mean, I don't want to take total credit because you heard the song. Oz never gave anything to the Tin Man that he didn't already have. So it's in those kids. I just help them find it.
yeah, but also that alone can really turn a lot of things around, because
100. Yes.
I always tell people, and this is an important topic, how many great kids are out there that want to do something great, but they don't have a male voice at home. They don't have somebody that really tell them, you know, what they need to get over the hump, right? So sometimes you thinking that you're not doing much, but that little word can really change their mind. And coach, that can change their entire career, man.
We agree on that 100%. And you're right, man. There's a lot of kids walking around North Minneapolis, walking around
Good intentions.
With Cedar Riverside, right? Walking around Southeast Minneapolis, all of those kind of things with good intentions, right? And the crazy thing is, man, like you know this, man. Like they're smart, man. There's many of them could have opportunities to be really good entrepreneur, businessman, politician, etc. But I always say this: what I've learned, and I share one of the things that I learned from coaching is that sometimes kids need somebody to cheer for them until they learn how to cheer for themselves. And that's what you're talking about, not having that man voice not having somebody, to believe in them. To your point, we talked about this earlier before the show. Not having somebody to just give them a chance.
Give them a chance.
Just give them a chance. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, all I want, I ain't asking you to get. I'm not asking you to give me something.
Just give me a chance.
Just give me a chance.
It's amazing, yeah. When you give a chance, when you take a chance with someone, you will see what they made out of. What would be the best way possible for a youth or a young man to be successful in life and to stay off of the streets?
Man, that could be our podcast in itself. First of all, I think many of our kids, man, gotta, and I'm just gonna be who I am. If you're listening to this, and you're from the continent of Africa, and I'm talking to, people talk about African American, but I always say I'm an African in America,
Mhm.
and so one, if you really understood, man, your DNA and the fact that you are descendant of kings and queens, that you're descendants of some of the greatest people ever, man.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? If you understood your bloodlines, then you wouldn't listen to the naysayers in terms of some of the stuff. But to really answer your question in a way that I think might be simple for somebody, I think the best way is we got to. It goes back to what I was saying. Help them learn to believe in themselves. And in believing in yourself, know that you don't have to be perfect. Everybody make mistakes. Everybody make mistakes. I mean, I don't care who you are or who better out there. All of us have done something dumb when we were young. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you say things that you don't mean to say.
absolutely.
Um, all of that. But I think we got to just help young people learn to believe in themselves, man, and then just encourage them to know that no matter what what other people are saying is that their greatness, man. And I always tell the story, man. Barack Obama,
Mhm.
and this was a story I used to tell my players. Barack Obama never knew his dad, raised by his grandmother, on welfare, um, had all the excuses in the world to not be anything.
And today, where is that?
You see what I'm saying? He had all these, but again, he didn't listen to the naysayers. I use this. I still to this day, one of the things on my bucket list. I want to meet the coach that told Michael Jordan he couldn't play basketball.
Yeah.
You
Well,
see what I'm saying?
yeah.
So I'm saying that to say you got to learn not to listen to the naysayers, right? The odds may be against you, but it's possible.
And it may be to your advantage at the end.
Yeah. And in the end, and so you look at Barack Obama's story, and then he goes on to become the most powerful man in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So, but he had every opportunity to feel sorry for himself because dad wasn't in his life, mom wasn't necessarily in his life. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so, but he didn't let that stop him. And again, I mean, if you know the Tyler Perry story,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Didn't let that stop him. So those are. Again, I think if we can help young people just learn to believe in themselves,
Yeah.
regardless of what people tell you, you know what I'm saying? And this is my motto, my thing: refuse to lose.
Awesome. Awesome. No, in today's world, I run into a lot of kids that really, um, that really would say, because they watch, too much social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever the case may be, and they will go, um, what do I need to be successful? And for me, um, whatever I put out there, the content that I put out there, yes, it's the finished product. But
Mhm.
there were a lot of times that I failed, a lot of times that I've heard no's, a lot of times that I really felt angry, right? To me, success is just being consistent with whatever you're doing. But I want to ask you this. Say there's a kid that came to you and said, "Hey, I don't need to go to school. I want to make a lot of money. What can you help me with?" What would you tell that student? For example, is going to college necessary for you to be successful or not?
Absolutely not. I mean, and the reason I say that is because I mean there's opportunity to be mechanics. They need somebody to fix air conditioners, work on airplanes. I mean everything. I mean you could. I mean barbershop. You know what I'm saying? There's franchises and all that. So you don't have to have. I mean, come on, man. Look at Bill Gates. Where did Bill Gates graduate from? You know, you look at some of the most successful men in this country don't have a college degree.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So that's not necessary. But it goes back to a couple things that we've talked about. One, and you asked me what do they need? One, learn to believe in yourself. And I say this, man. If you want to be a millionaire, you know what you do? Go find you a millionaire to mentor you.
Yes,
Because this is the thing I'm telling you. And I tell people I learned this. The $50,000 man don't hang out with the $20,000 man. The $100,000 man don't hang out with the $50,000 man, right?
No.
The half of the guy that's making $500,000 a year don't hang out with the guy that's making $100,000 a year. So if you want to go find a place where the millionaires are, right, and have those conversations and ask those questions, right? Mentoring, and then I mean. Bill Gates, Microsoft. If you know the story, man, I mean, I've listened to it over and over. Had a bunch of people in his garage working on what they were calling computers. Nobody never heard of them.
Yeah.
He said one day everybody gonna have one of these. These gonna be in everybody's household. People laugh. So there was a lot of people, man, that stayed with him in the organization. Some people, they tried something that didn't work. Some people quit. But everybody that stayed with him is a billionaire.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
So your surroundings.
They're surrounded. The guy that owned FedEx, the story, right?
Yeah.
He's getting his MBA.
Had to gamble, right?
Right. And the professor told him, wrote the business plan for FedEx, and he got an F on it. Said this could never work. So again, and I'll say this, because go back one thing that you asked me, and this is what young people need to hear. You want to be successful? Look at the 5 friends in your circle. If they ain't going nowhere, you ain't going nowhere. You want to be successful? Get around the right group of people. Because birds of a feather flock together. So if whatever you want to do, find a group of people that are like-minded. They want what you want, right? And then because the thing about it is, if you got good people in your circle, they're not gonna let you fail.
100%.
They're not gonna let you fail. When something go wrong, and that's what Bill Gates had, right? In that garage when he was working on the computer. When something go wrong, hey man, it's all right. You know what I'm saying? Let's take the rest of the day off and come back tomorrow. But we're going to get this thing. And they didn't give up. And going back to what I said, they believed.
You guys heard the coach. It's all about your surroundings and the people that you really surround yourself with. If you want to be successful, because there's a saying that says, show me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are.
That's 100%.
Right?
Yes.
So change your surroundings. If you want to do something good for yourself, have like-minded people, like the coach said, because nothing good comes out of somebody that's not doing better than you. So always try to be around people that have accomplished more in life or equally. Right?
And I'll say this, man. I mean, you know this, right? That I've been blessed in this way. I'll say most times when I call somebody, man, and I have been on the phone with like some amazing people, particularly as a basketball coach. And you think you're going to have a 15, 20-minute conversation and you end up talking for an hour and a half. And I'm saying that to say this, right, is if you're out there and you call somebody, right, I mean, sometimes you got to navigate through the gatekeepers, but most people are not going to tell you no. If you ask somebody to give them 10 minutes of your time, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. Sa'ad, you're going to be you're a busy man. But you'll find a way to give a kid 10 minutes.
Oh, 100%.
You see what I'm saying? 15 minutes.
My responsibility.
That's right. Yeah. So you see what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to go and ask I want to tell the story, man. Literally, so you talking about being a millionaire, right? So here's one of the things I do. So I tell people I spend $1,200 a year to be a member of the Edinburgh Golf Club,
Oh, okay.
right?
Nice.
And I don't go out there and play much, man. Matter of fact, I played a number of times this year. I haven't played out there at all. But part of that is that you gotta spend so much money on meals and all that stuff. So I go out to there, I sit at the lunch counter, man, and I order some food. And 100% of the time, somebody gonna come over and say, "What's that ring?" And that opened the door. And I tell people all the time, man, that's how I
Conversation starter.
network.
Yeah.
That's how I network. And I usually end up, and then I start talking about, that's how I used to raise funds for my basketball team. Start talking about my program and all that kind of stuff and what I'm doing and how I'm doing and how I don't have resources. I leave with a check or a new friend or something, right? Want to be a millionaire? Go where the millionaires hang out at.
No, that's really inspiring, man. It's really inspiring, and I couldn't agree more because, like I said, you have, like you said, you have to go where those people are, and your net worth is your network. You just
That's
have to, yeah,
100%.
you
Say
have
that
to,
again. So
yeah,
somebody need that.
yeah, your network, your net worth is your network. So if you want to do great things, and if you want to do something good for your life, go where those people are. Coach, we're gonna get into some basketball talk.
Okay.
Can the coach hoop?
Oh, he
You still
used to.
you still got some moves, coach?
Nah, not anymore, man. I tell people I I
How
played
often do
up.
you play? How often do you Are you active? Are you playing right now?
I
Like
mean, I
pickup?
shoot free throws.
Oh, okay,
You
okay,
know what
okay.
I'm
Fair
saying? I
enough, fair
shoot
enough.
free throws, but I don't play. I mean, what I do now, when I go in the gym now, man,
Yeah.
I'm teaching. You know what I'm saying, or trying to help somebody get better. Uh, but I was a pretty good player now.
Yeah,
I
of
mean,
course, of course.
we ain't have the social media like they had
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but now,
But
coach.
history, we know
But
the
yeah,
history.
but
Mm.
I'd say I can still go in the gym and make 8 out of 10 free throws.
That's
That's about
beautiful,
the
man.
best I can do.
That's beautiful. How important is free throw, in your
I'll tell
game,
you,
your
like my
basketball?
dad used to say, they free. You know what I'm saying? So you want to take advantage of it. I mean, a lot of times that's the difference in the game.
Charity stripe. This
Yes, sir.
charity stripe,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
Oh no, that's amazing, coach. Basketball has really been my favorite sport, and I haven't been really paying too much attention to basketball since Kobe passed. He was my favorite player.
Yeah.
I grew up watching Kobe. As a basketball legend, who is the greatest basketball player of all time?
In my opinion, and I always get into arguments, man. I'm a Magic Johnson guy.
Okay,
I think at 6'8", 250 pound point guard, Magic changed the way that the game is played. I mean, I think if you look at the numbers, while he don't have as many championships as Michael Jordan, you gotta, I mean, look at how many consecutive times that he competed for. You gotta remember, I'm not sure who Michael Jordan had to compete with, but you gotta remember Magic had Larry Bird. And so it was a different time and era. But in my opinion, on my Mount Rushmore, it starts with Magic Johnson.
man, who's the rest of your Mount Rushmore?
So if I would go, obviously you got to put Michael Jordan in that as one of the greatest players. I go with so we got Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then for me, Bill Russell.
So no Kobe, no my guy Kobe.
Uh, you
Come
know what
on,
I'm saying?
coach. Okay, because I thought this was
So I'm gonna
going
tell you.
well,
I
man.
mean, yeah, I thought it was going well too, but I'm not. I mean, I'm a Kobe fan
Yeah,
now,
yeah, yeah.
and I didn't really get to know Kobe until after Kobe passed.
Yeah.
Uh, but Kobe is just a replica of Michael Jordan.
But
So
but how many people try to do that?
no, and that's the thing that I
Yeah.
think, man. I mean, what I've learned upon his passing and reading the Mamba mentality, man,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think like that's the best mindset that you can have, right?
yeah,
He was like, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I'm just gonna go do what the greatest of all time,
yeah.
in his opinion, did. So, unfortunately, you only got 5 heads on Mount Rushmore. So, Kobe would be next.
I don't know. I don't know. That's the second team. But when it comes to basketball, I will not argue with you because you've accomplished more than I ever did and more than I ever will. But for me, the reason why I think Kobe is on my top two or top three is Michael Jordan himself will tell you the only guy that he would lose to is him because he stole all of his
He's
moves.
right.
You see
Yeah.
what I'm
I
saying?
mean, yeah, he
So,
studied him, man. Yeah.
for Jordan to talk to you, to talk about you that much, you're doing something great. But for me, he's my goat. He's
Yeah.
my goat, and I think I've earned the rights.
And I think a lot of it, man, is depending on your era, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When I tell people, when I put Bill Russell in there, I mean, you probably don't know much about Bill
No,
Russell
no, 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 no.
at all, but Bill Russell, what 11 rings as a player and a coach with the
Only had
Boston
2 seasons
Celtics.
of
Yeah,
disappointment.
you
Yeah,
know what I'm saying. But it depends on the era that you grew up in. A lot of times, and I always say this, like if you ask probably some of your young colleagues, they're gonna say LeBron James because
yeah,
that's what they grew up with.
yeah.
So,
A lot of people
you know,
do. A lot of people do. I don't.
yeah. So I think there's a GOAT for different eras.
Different eras. No, that's how is basketball compared to how it was 10, 15, 20 years ago.
I hate today's basketball, man.
For what reason?
uh just a lot less physical, all the 3-point shooting. I think players now rely more on athlete. And again, I shouldn't say. I mean, again, times change, right? So, but the constant 3-point shooting, and it's just a different game than what I grew up with. You know what I'm saying? Like now, I mean, you think about the NBA now. There's no centers. I mean, besides Rudy Gobert, there's very few centers in the NBA.
And
You know what I'm saying? So
they have to be shooters.
so now and again, it's a different game because there's more of the European flavor. When I'm talking about that, I mean a lot of how the game was played overseas is now being played in the NBA, and so it's just different, man. I grew up with guys like Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell and Walt Bellamy and just different kinds of centers. Shaquille, and in my opinion, Shaquille O'Neal was the last true
Center that we
great center. Him and Hakeem Olajuwon and that kind of stuff. But you don't see, you know what I'm saying? You don't have that in the game
yeah.
anymore. And that's because of guys like Steph Curry and other guys that can shoot the ball. And so
I think Steph Curry
it's
changed
a
the
lot.
game.
Yeah, Steph Curry definitely changed the game. And so I think there's less discipline in the game. And I always say I'm a basketball purist, real traditionalist. So, there are times, man, that I'll be honest with you, like I'll watch. I remember last year watching not Utah, Oklahoma City and the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, yeah.
And for the first 8 minutes, every single shot was a 3-pointer. I turned the TV off.
Yeah, pissed.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Timberwolves, do you see them winning? I know we went to 2 back-to-back conference finals. Do you see them winning an NBA champion in the near future?
I think they have a chance. I think, a lot, and I'll say this, I hope he hears it, but I think a lot of the Timberwolves' success relies on how fast Anthony Edwards matures and just really as a young man. You know what I'm saying? I think he has all the talent in the world to be another Michael Jordan, but he has to get the right people around him in terms of off the court kind of stuff. And so, does the Timberwolves have a chance? Yes, but it's going to be a lot of it is on his shoulders, and it's going to be tough for them to beat a team like OKC.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love Anthony Edwards. In fact, I think, and I'm going to ask you this question, but I think when he's on, and nobody can do anything about it. And because of that reason, I think he might be the best player in the league right now, if not, top three. Who is your the best player in the league right
You know
now?
what I mean? I can't disagree with you. I think Anthony Edwards individually
Yeah,
is the best player in the league. I mean, I think he has a talent, but I think like right now, not being able to control his emotions and all of those kinds of things, um, and the technicals, and those are the things that get in the way, right? And then just some of the things that he says, and those are those kind of things. But I think as a talent, by far best player in the NBA.
yeah, for sure. And hopefully the Timberwolves will win the championship in the next couple of years. Couple more questions before we wrap up. in your opinion, who is the greatest basketball player from Minnesota? I know that's a tough question, man. Sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
That's it's a really tough question. So I think, I mean, if you look at, if you look at his accolades and all of that kind of stuff, and I'll tell you, I mean, for me, the best player I ever seen was Khalid El-Amin.
Yeah, Khalid on me.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, so evident what he did at North High.
Yeah.
And then I think what a lot of people don't understand because of change. I mean, like when Khalid led North to 3 championships, they only had a 2-class system. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, for people don't know how hard that is to go out and do that. And then obviously what he did at Connecticut. But I would say Khalid El-Amin, but I also say Minnesota's had some really good
Some good
players,
legends.
you know, and I always, you know, I think my son was a pretty
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say,
one of those. I mean,
you want to tell
you know,
the you want
but
to
I
tell the
think
audience?
when you start talking, I mean, Lawrence McKenzie,
Yeah,
um, you know, he played for me at Patrick Henry High School, and we won 4 consecutive state titles together. Went on to uh, Oklahoma and all Big 12, Big 10 at the University of Minnesota, where he graduated from. Uh, but I think, you know, people don't understand. I mean, you know, Khalid uh, it's just so many guys. Troy Bell, Allen Anderson,
yeah, yeah,
Kevin McHale. There's Minnesota have produced Chris Humphreys, and I could just start calling names.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
A lot of great break basketball players. But I would say any Minnesota Mount Rushmore would start with Khalid El-Amin.
Yeah, Khalid Amin was, especially when he went to the Huskies.
Correct. Yes.
He was that man was unstoppable. I was never old enough, or I'm never old enough to know who Kevin McHale was back in the day. But the one time I dislike him is when he gave away big ticket. Kevin Garnett, and
Yeah.
he traded for how many pieces? 8 people, 8 players that we don't even know where they at, or where did they be?
Yeah, but that was a blessing for Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, get his
And I
championship.
think the thing that we don't understand is Kevin McHale played. He knew the importance of winning an NBA title, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, man,
So you think he did him a favor?
I think he did him a favor.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because so many guys, I mean, you know, Charles Barkley, we talk about it all the time. It's a lot of guys, man, that's never got a ring.
Yeah. No. With the new ownership,
Yeah.
A Rod and his business partner, Kevin Garnett's back now with the Timberwolves.
Well, not quite, because I just read that the other day. I mean, they're working on it.
Oh, really? So
Yeah, but he has not. He hasn't. They're working on it, but it's not totally done as of yet. That's what I just read on Sunday.
Yeah. How? I don't mean to extend this, but how shameful is it that we haven't retired his jersey yet, and it's been almost that long? Somebody who made the Timberwolves basically.
Yeah, it's a real tragedy, man. But we know the environment that, I'll just leave it at. We know where we live and the environment that we live in.
Yeah, understood. Understood. What's understood don't get to be explained. Coach, I'm so honored. I'm so blessed to be at your presence. Thanks for coming. For those who listen to us today, I hope you learned so much from this great man as much as I did. And I'm always going to be a student of his, no matter where I'm at. Helped me so much. And thank you. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, and thank you. And I'm going to get a couple quick plugs here.
Yeah.
Just got a new book came out called Changing Lives, right? The Legacy of a Coach. It's on Amazon. People can go out and get it. And then if you want to connect, website, www.coachmckenzie.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of the social medias. You can find me, LinkedIn. So reach out.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you on next episode.
Appreciate it, man.
Coach.
Thank you.